All right, welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at something pretty interesting. It's called the E function. So think of it this way. You know how in the AI world, things can get pretty complex? Well, this E function is kind of like a built-in safety mechanism. It's a way for the AI to signal, hey, I need a little bit of human help here, a little intervention to get things on the right track. And it's interesting because you guys send over some sources about this. We have two explanations of what this E function is. But then there's also this article about something called CALL, Computer Assisted Language Learning. That's what CALL stands for. And on the surface, it just seems completely random. Like, what does that have to do with AI and this E function? Well, trust me, we're going to connect these dots and you're going to be fascinated by the end of this. So let's start with those first two sources that explain what this E function is. They outline 5 key situations where this function gets triggered. So first up, we have uncertainty. Like, imagine an AI is looking at a company's financial records. Maybe it sees some transactions and thinks, you seem a little off. But it's not quite sure if it should flag them as fraudulent or not, It just doesn't have enough information to be totally confident. That's where E steps in. It says, hey, I need a human expert to double check this. And the second one is complexity. Like, let's say an AI is putting together a treatment plan for a patient. But this patient has a really rare condition. The AI might know all the medical stuff, but this case is just so unique that it knows it needs a human doctor's experience and intuition. That gut feeling that doctors sometimes have. And that's where E comes in again, bringing in the human element. All right, now number 3. This one's kind of scary. Critical issues. Imagine a self-driving car. It's going through a busy intersection, and all of a sudden, a pedestrian just runs out into the road. Now, the AI might not be able to react fast enough in a situation like that. That's where E acts like an emergency brake. It instantly alerts a human driver to take over control. It's all about safety. And then we've got data limitations. AI is great at crunching numbers. But what if it's trying to do something like predict the outcome of an election? It might have tons of data about polls and stuff, but maybe it's missing some crucial information about how many people will actually vote. Or maybe there's a big shift in public opinion right before the election. In these cases, E helps the AI realize, hey, I need more data to get this right. I can't make an accurate prediction without it. And finally, we have situations where the AI needs help with ethical stuff. Like, imagine it's writing a news article, but it accidentally includes some biased language or even fake news. E acts as a safeguard, making sure a human editor checks everything before it is published.
All right.
Like, whoa, hold on. Let's make sure this is accurate and fair before we put it out there.
Yep.
And actually, one of the sources gives a real-world example of this thing in action. It talks about an AI that's supposed to be creating a marketing campaign. Like, it gets the target audience, it understands the product, but it just can't come up with a catchy slogan. That's where it sends out the E signal for human help. Okay, so now, this is where it gets interesting. Remember that article, the one about Kilo? It argues that the old way of teaching language is, all that rote memorization and grammar drills. It was too focused on making people learn consciously. But the article says real fluency, it comes from immersion. You got to be surrounded by the language. It's more of a subconscious thing.
That's actually a really good point. And what's so fascinating is how this idea of conscious versus subconscious learning, it actually connects to this E function in AI. It's like those early language programs, they hit a wall because they were so focused on conscious learning. And in the same way, AI can sometimes reach its limits with what it can do on its own. So this E function, it represents a shift. It's a sign that AI is becoming more sophisticated. It's like it's saying, hey, I recognize that I need human input. I need help to really learn and grow.
So it's not about AI trying to solve every single problem by itself anymore.
Exactly. It's becoming more aware of its own limitations. And it's learning to ask for help when it needs it.
That's pretty amazing when you think about it. It's like AI is developing self-awareness, right? Like it knows what it knows or what it doesn't know.
Yeah, and that awareness, it's crucial for building trust. And it's a really big step towards making sure AI is developed responsibly. Because, it's not just about making AI powerful. It's about making sure it's used for good. And that sometimes means knowing when to ask for help.
I like that, AI knowing when to ask for help. It's like even AI needs a teacher sometimes.
Right. Exactly.
Well, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to dive even deeper into this E function and what it means for the future of AI. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's almost like AI is moving past that phase of just following rules and algorithms. It's starting to understand the world in a more complex way and realizing that sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to actually ask for help.
Yeah, it's like even with the most advanced textbooks, sometimes you just need a teacher to explain it to you.
Exactly. And, just like a good teacher changes their approach based on the student. This E function allows AI to kind of adjust how much it does on its own. It can call for help when the situation needs it.
So it's not just about AI blindly doing what it's told. It's more about a partnership between humans and machines.
Absolutely. And this idea of collaboration, it's really important for so many different fields. Take cybersecurity, for example.
Yeah.
Let's say there's an AI system and it's looking for any suspicious activity on a network. It spots a pattern that could be a cyber attack, but it's not 100% sure.
That's where E would come in,
Right.
to alert a human to take a closer look.
Exactly. The AI would flag the potential threat and give the human all the data it's collected. Then the human analyst can use their expertise to figure out if it's the real threat and decide what to do.
So it's like they work together, the AI with its speed and the human with their experience.
Precisely. And that kind of teamwork becomes even more important in situations where a small mistake could have huge consequences.
Okay, so E can make things more secure. But what about other areas? Like how could it change healthcare?
Well, imagine AI helping doctors diagnose and treat patients. It could go through medical records, look at scans, even suggest treatment options. But with E, the AI would know when to bring in a human doctor's expertise.
So like if the AI sees a really complicated case or a patient has weird symptoms, it would signal for a doctor to step in.
Exactly. The doctor could then double-check everything, examine the patient, and make the final call on what to do.
So it's a true partnership, using the best of both AI and human intelligence. And wouldn't that not only lead to better diagnoses, but also free up doctors to spend more time with patients?
Absolutely. Instead of spending hours going through paperwork, doctors could focus on the more human side of things, providing emotional support and really understanding their patients' needs.
It's like E is changing AI from replacing human experts to actually making them even better.
That's a great way to put it, and this shift could revolutionize healthcare and so many other industries.
Now, all this talk about AI and humans working together makes me wonder. As AI gets more advanced and makes more decisions on its own, are we basically creating a new type of intelligence? Is AI on its way to becoming like sentient?
That's the big question, isn't it? Philosophers, scientists, even science fiction writers have been debating this for years. And while we're not at truly sentient AI yet, these developments like E definitely change how we think about artificial intelligence.
It's like we're moving past the idea of AI just as a tool that follows orders. We're starting to see it as more of a partner, someone we can work with to solve problems.
Exactly. And as AI keeps evolving, I think we'll see even more complex ways for humans and machines to interact. It'll start to blur the line between what's human intelligence and what's artificial intelligence.
Which brings us to another question. If AI is becoming more like a collaborator, what's that going to mean for jobs? Will AI eventually replace humans, or will it create new opportunities to work together?
Well, throughout history, new technology has always changed the way we work. The printing press, the steam engine, computers, they all disrupted things. Some jobs were lost, but whole new industries and jobs were created.
So you're saying AI with its capabilities and things like E will probably follow a similar path.
Right. Some tasks will be automated for sure, but there will also be new opportunities for humans to work alongside AI.
So instead of being scared of AI taking our jobs, we should focus on learning new skills and preparing for this new way of working.
Exactly. We need to teach future generations how to think critically, solve problems, and be creative. Those skills will be essential in a world where AI is everywhere.
This has been a really eye-opening look at E and what it means for the future of AI. We've seen how it can make things safer, change how we approach healthcare, and even transform the way we work. But there's still so much more to explore. In our final part, we'll dive into some of the big philosophical questions around AI's growing independence and what this means for the relationship between humans and machines. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And we're back. We've been talking about the E function in AI. And it's clear this is about way more than just some technical thing. It really gets to the heart of, how AI is changing and how we interact with it. And before we wrap up, let's think about E in the context of AI becoming more independent. Because it's kind of strange, right? AI is getting better at making its own decisions, but it's also becoming more aware of when it needs us humans to step in.
Yeah, it is a pretty interesting dynamic, and I think it shows that we're realizing that even the most advanced AI shouldn't be working completely on its own. The real power of AI comes when it works with human intelligence, not when it tries to replace it.
So it's not about humans versus machines. It's more about finding that sweet spot where they work best together, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like a true collaboration. And this E function, it's like the bridge between the two. It makes sure that human judgment and ethics are still part of the process, even as AI systems become more and more capable of doing things independently.
This makes me think about trust. If we're going to rely on AI to make big decisions that affect our lives, we got to be able to trust it. And knowing that there's a human element involved, that helps a lot. It's like a safety net, making sure AI doesn't go off track or do something that could have unintended consequences.
Absolutely. E is like a transparency tool. It lets us see how the AI is making its decisions, like an audit trail, making sure there's always a human keeping an eye on things.
And that transparency is key, not just for trust, but for dealing with the ethical questions that pop up as AI gets more powerful.
Exactly. E lets us make sure the AI is working with human values and principles. It keeps the AI in check, so to speak, making sure it's reflecting our morals and what we as a society consider right and wrong.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into E today, I think the main takeaway is this. It's not just a little technical feature, it's a sign of a bigger shift in how we're developing AI. It shows that we're realizing how important it is for humans and machines to work together, to be transparent, and to always keep ethical questions in mind. It's like E is guiding the future of AI in a way, steering it towards a path where humans and machines are partners, not competitors. We've covered a lot today, but this is just the beginning. As AI keeps changing and evolving, we need to keep asking tough questions, keep learning, and keep pushing the limits. But always, always remembering that human values need to be at the center of it all. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.